Christmas to you all, as it is Friday afternoon. That means we get to kick back for an hour and share in the tales of horror and misery that travel around our internet superhighway, don't they? Don't they? The tales of horror and misery. And also the wonderful and magical things that happen while we're all anonymous in this online world. But we're not going to be, do you like this segue? We're not going to be anonymous for that much longer, because after 2 long COVID-ridden years, Preachcon 2022 is confirmed. In fact, it will take place in August 2022 on the 3rd and the 4th. On the 3rd and the 4th of August, that's right, 2 nights we are planning for you guys. It has been so long since we've managed to get together and have our celebratory annual event where we all group up in real life and enjoy ourselves and have some fun. August 3rd and 4th, Preachcon will be happening. Our tickets will go on sale in the next year. We're announcing the dates now for those of you who like to get your hotels booked and start vacation and that kind of things. Do all those wonderful things, and I cannot be more excited. I genuinely cannot be more excited to once again be with all you guys, get our guests down. Remember, and for those who ever ask, it will not be streamed. There will be no live stream. What happens at Preachcon stays at Preachcon. It is a completely offline event that we do to have good fun. And I know that means that some people feel like they miss out, but there is good reason why we do that. Because, yeah, it gets a little wacky. It gets a little wacky. It gets a little wacky at Preachcon, and we're looking forward to it immensely here. Emma has been working tirelessly. For those of you who booked your hotels 2 years ago and have been steadily moving them, it will be at the Village in Manchester. We were going to have it somewhere else. We were going to have it in a different country. But many of you said, can we just have the party? Especially those who've been to it several times. It's like, we just want to get together. We want to get together where we know, where we're happy, and we just want to have that happen. August 3rd and 4th is when Preachcon will be. So it will be at the Village Hotel, Manchester. We will be there as usual for those who've been there. For any of you who it's your first time, I just want to clear some things up because we get questions from a lot of our new audience, okay? Is that if you come alone, it is totally fine. If you go to our Discord, you will find groups and WhatsApp groups to get to know who's there. You're going to be seeing people who you talk to pretty much every day, especially if you come to the stream. You will be meeting people that you know very, very well. We always have people come alone. We've had people come alone from the US, Australia, Russia, Japan, all those places to Preachcon, and always leave with the best time. So have no fear of that. You do not need to drink. I know there are many drunken tales of what happens at Preachcon, but you do not need to drink. Many of the people do not drink. It is totally fine. It is all good. August 3rd. 4th is the dates you will want. The dates you want. So you got to pre-book your hotels and do all that kind of stuff. Go ahead and get it done. It's all good. If you're alone, you're better prepared. If you're alone, no doubt you're going to leave with some very long-time friends. We have some immense permanent friendships that have been made at Preachcon, as well as marriages, babies, all kinds of stuff that have come from Preachcon. Is it a 2-night show? Should be. Should be. It should be. Yes. If that changes in the future, I'll let you know as soon as possible if you need to cancel one of the nights of the hotels or something like that. But this is obviously because as soon as we announce this, within the next... I would actually be curious, for those of you who could check for me, what the hotel prices change in the next hour. I would really like to know. Bex, if you could tweet out those dates for anybody who can't make drama, just to get that date out, and I'll make sure I mention it in YouTube as well. I imagine you might have already done it. Yep, you've already done it. There you go. You've already done it. Excellent. I'd be really curious. It's over 140 already. Yeah, 99 now. Let's see what it looks like in the next half an hour or something like that. Yes, typically a lot of people come for the entire week. I will actually be at a wedding just before it. I'll actually be at Mr. George's wedding just before Preachcon. It's just the way the dates overlapped. We had to book it in now. The Village Hotel Manchester is where it's going to be. The Village Hotel Manchester. I'll bring it up on here for anybody in case you're thinking, because there are several villages. I think it's actually considered Ashton Underline, but I'll show it here. I'll show you. It's the one that looks like a giant Borg cube, but this is where it will be. Show this so we're all clear on what's happening, so I don't want anyone to book the wrong place. My camera is off. That's fine. That's not a big deal. I can fix that. There we go. The Village, Manchester, Ashton. That's where it will be. The Village, Manchester, Ashton. Can I get a picture of it so you know which one I'm looking at? Yes, this one that looks like the big Borg cube. That is where we will be. We will be in here. We will be taking over that entire back building there for the duration of the event. We should be having DJ Manmade there. Yes, we should. We should be having the DJ from our Final Fantasy nightclub night, and hopefully our New Year's Eve night should be there. But that is where we're going to be. Okay, we are going to be there. So if you've never been to Preachcon before and you know what it's all about, it's a stage show. We do a stage show. We're planning to have a second night, which won't be a stage show. It'll be something else fun that I've got in mind for you guys that we'll be doing. And generally, we get some guest down content creators. It's just a celebration of having some good fun. Yeah, come as you are, come and have fun, enjoy yourselves. It'll be a blast. It'll be a blast. There is one of the Preachcons is on YouTube, so you can kind of get an idea of what goes on. We play some silly games with everybody, and we have fun. We generally try and film one of our legacy videos there, or some sort of silliness that we can do because so many of you are there. That kind of thing. On to Manchester, they came. They came. Yes, they came. I'm not announcing the guests. Usually I don't announce the guests because there's not really a need to. And plus the guests, sometimes, especially if they're new guests, it's nice to have them as a surprise. Because you're going to be there anyway. So we like to have it as a surprise as to who is there. It's worked out very well for us in the past. In fact, the only feedback we ever get is the guests who are returning. So we've had Nobble there, Bellula there, Taliesin and Nevertell there, and so on and so forth. Is that they enjoy the party so much they'd rather not be secrets the next time they come, which is totally fine. That's totally fine. I get that. I get that completely. It makes total sense to me. So there you go. Tickets sell out very quickly. Yes, get flexible bookings, do all that kind of stuff. Get flexible bookings. Tickets do tend... last time, I think the tickets sold out in 45 seconds. Something like that. I intend to actually try and get some Final Fantasy XIV content creators here, and maybe some of the PoE guys that we've been talking to. So yeah, I think last time it sold out in something like 45 seconds to a minute, something like that. They sell out very, very quickly. We do intend to have a larger show the year after, but again, I listen to feedback. I talk to our top tier supporters, our top tier website supporters, the very people whose names appear in Drama Time, who have been several times, and they were like, we just want the party. That's all we want. We just want to get together. We haven't seen people in like 2 years. We just want to get together and have a good time. So we're keeping it simple, keeping it nice and squeezy this year. We're going to have it down at the village, as everyone expects, and just get together and have big cuddles. That's the plan. So, there you go. I'm looking forward immensely to seeing many of you again, because it's been so fucking long, my dude. So long since we've done that. But that's not why you're here right now for many of you, although some of you will be here for that. It is, of course, Drama Time. It is, of course, Drama Time, where we share stories sent in by our wonderful viewers of crazy and wacky things that happen to them in online games. Make sure the bars stop. They keep running out. Actually, I can tell you the truth. I don't know why I'd even lie about this, but the village themselves, the hotel where we host it, called us repeatedly to book it in because they love our event so much. I've told you this after every time, is the hotel itself loves our event, and they now do multiple beer deliveries for Preachcon. More than any other event they host in the entire year. They restock the entire hotel 3 times during Preachcon week. At this point, they restock 3 times for that week because, yeah, it gets completely wrecked. Required, yes, required. All I beg this year is keep your shirts on. That's all I ask. As I said, there's a reason we do not stream Preachcon. Okay, let's have some fun. We've got a wonderful Final Fantasy XIV story to kick us off today. What lies in the dark comes to light. Ooh. Oh, I haven't changed the notifications because I'm bad at my job, man. And I've been streaming for 9 hours. But that's what'll happen. So, fixed. Yes, I have fixed it. There we go. What lies in the dark? I can't backspace. Comes to... let's go with what lies in the dark. We have been streaming so long that we actually have the error where I can't backspace. I know, sounds weird, but it is the case. Okay. So everything's in caps lock and we can't backspace. Wunderbar. I need 2 guild names for you Final Fantasy 14 fans out there. Generally small, free company, casual, friendly only. And then we need a guild name for a very well-known and respected company on the server. That's what we're after. So we need Bean Bam. Shades. Yak. Wonderful. Okay, the Dice Limes. The Chaos Crawlers. Oh, that sounds wonderful. The Chaos Crawlers and They Came. Okay, we'll go with Chaos Crawlers and They Came. Which one's the respectable one? I'm not sure. I think the Chaos Crawlers sounds more respectable than They Came. It's funny, Mike. I thought this story would be something I kept to myself and those who knew what really happened. But as I write this from the outside of my free company house that I intend on turning into a roleplay venue, sipping on some whiskey IRL and listening to Drama Time, these memories surface. So I hope it's not just you, Preach, but also the audience enjoy my story that spans not just 2 data centers, but also spreads outside of FF and onto the worst cesspits of online social media connectivity. The Twitter. Oh dear, it's getting serious. It's on the Twitter. So sit back, relax, and listen to Preach narrate this tale of why you should never, ever piss off the role players. That's good advice. This happened before Shadowbringers launched, and right after they split the North American data centers and created the Crystal data center. And the most notable server on it, Balmung. Balmung? Balmung? That sounds gross. It's always had a reputation of being the big roleplay server for Final Fantasy XIV for as long as I can remember. However, this is not where our story takes place. Our story starts on a different data center, the one of Ether, and on the server of Fairy, back in the day. I had just left a free company I was in due to me coming back to FF14 after a few months of not playing and being in a shitty job that left me with no free time. I had brought a friend over to my server and we had been looking for a free company to join. We eventually found a small one called They Came, with a few active people in it, and we fit right in, especially with the leaders, Bean Bam and Shades. Bean Bam was the leader and Shades was effectively the second in command, as she kept everything running and got everyone running content while being a stay-at-home mother to a wonderful yet rambunctious child, as well as a myriad of health issues of her own. Bean Bam was the leader of They Came for as long as I was there, and as a genuinely good man. While also being so gay makes Elton John appear straight, and yes, I am going somewhere with this. My friend and I got along very well with them, as well as with Dak, who I only knew for a short time, but Bean Bam and Shades could write more about it if they could. Dak was the type of girl to always have a guy by her side, as well as an army of simpers to her beck and call. So much so, she tried flirting with and teasing guys to get them to give her stuff. Bean Bam told me that she tried this with him before he gave her the gay card. I also know she tried doing this to me. However, I'm as romantically aware as a sack of potatoes that someone forgot to throw out back in 1997, and it's only through the elusive superpower known as hindsight that I am able to tell you that she generally was trying to turn me into one of her little simp armies. In contrast with her treatment of guys, Dak was catty and mean to other girls, trying to get my friend in trouble for posting NSFW content in... Wait, what? You had an official IRL NSFW channel? Is that right? Huh. FF14, yo. And also trying to show that Shades wasn't doing her job, which was bullshit to anyone with one half-working pair of eyes. Dak was also very ambitious, which is to read power hungry, as she was constantly attempting to take an officer's position in our free company, and if I'm guessing correctly, attempting to poach a mansion from the free company so she could have it as her personal home. Needless to say, it was a handful to deal with her. Eventually, Dak came to a groundbreaking conclusion, that she'd have better luck making her own free company, instead of trying to power play this one. So she left, taking her army of simps and boy toys with her, leaving me, my friend, Bean, Shades' husband and son, and a few other people behind. And we went along our way, no problem. However, about a week after this happened, Dak and her boy toy train ran into me in Mordona. We chatted pleasantly, before she invited me to her free company. She had called it the Chaos Crawlers. stating that my free company was full of drama and bitches and such. I declined. I had started to enjoy They Came. I was in and I had fun playing with everyone. Plus, I'd been in for about 2 weeks, and I felt that that was too short to judge and leave. Now, to sidetrack a little bit here, I had a few alts on the server, and I spent enough time in certain places to identify a well-known roleplay free company. One of them going by the same name as Dak's new guild, the Chaos Crawlers. Not only that, but their free company was themed as an underground Yakuza-esque free company. I was aware of them mostly because I had seen some of their members on the server. Circling back to my server then, and after a bit of time, the numbers in They Came started to shrink. The active players started to leave. So we did the only normal thing to do and started to recruit as much as we could. Going into shout chat in the main cities and advertise the free company that we are looking for new members. Come on, join us. We're good people. We're happy. We kept it over about a week before we noticed something. We were getting 0 new members. Of course, as you could probably guess, we discovered that Dak had been having her entire army of simps and actively slandering our name, bad-mouthing our free company to everybody, whilst of course telling them that she had left ours and bolstering her own little crew. One night when Bean, Shades and I were up late on Discord, we discussed what all we could do to get rid of this bad reputation that had been given to us. I can't remember what all was discussed. As I was scrolling through the logs and announcements, I saw that Dak had changed her name on Discord to the name of a well-known artist for Final Fantasy XIV characters. Interesting play. Eventually, we decided on renaming and rebranding. Let's just reinvent ourselves. Shades and I were thinking we'd do this later. However, Bean, with the impulse control of a puppy that drank 30 shots of espresso, did it immediately and made an announcement in the Discord. I didn't need hindsight to know that this was a stupid decision. So off he went advertising the very next morning, trying to drum up recruits under our new banner. Unfortunately, the results were exactly the same. There was only one way her free company could have found out about this. Dak had a spy in our Discord. We were overwhelmed and panicking. No matter what we do, they would know about it at the same time everyone else would know about it. I was angry. I was worried. Dak had spies who would check out every single move. They could counter us and prevent us from doing literally anything to keep our little guild alive. It got rough in voice chat, as Bean was in despair and Shades was crying because they hadn't done anything. Yet the thing they loved was being destroyed. And as this was happening, my friends, as the tears were rolling and people were stressed, I found clarity. As my anger calmed to rage, I knew exactly what we should do. But more importantly, I didn't want my friends to be upset anymore. My thoughts were this. Dak had spies focusing on harassing Bean and Shades as well as monitoring what everyone in our Discord was saying. This left a few blind spots, most notably voice chat. Can't spy in there, we would know. Discord also has a habit of showing the current name of someone on a server, even if they change their name after leaving the server. Assuming Dak could even access everyone's lodestone information, she was unaware of any alts. So it meant that my alts were unknown. As well as me knowing she was impersonating not just someone on Discord and Final Fantasy XIV, but also an entire goddamn free company. So while staying in voice chat with Bean and Shades, I logged off my main character, swapped to my alt, and tracked down the leaders of the real Chaos Crawlers. While doing this, I also messaged the artist that Dak had been pretending to be on another site and informed them that someone was impersonating them and giving them a bad name. When speaking to the actual leader of the Chaos Crawlers, I told him that someone was impersonating their guild and showed them the receipts that I had gathered, as well as showing them pretending to be the artist. Understandably, this made the respected Chaos Crawlers a little upset, and they decided to take it to the big guns. They brought it to the public hell site known as Twitter, which was at the time, as the artist posted, "Someone is impersonating me. This is not my account on Discord, and I do not play on that server. Both these factors simultaneously caused Dak to panic. She changed her name in Discord within 3 minutes of the tweet going out. She also immediately changed the free company's name. But I was not done. My rage was boiling. I gave Chaos Crawlers and the artist updated information. And the artist, really upset, started to dig up more info. Dak had an alt that was also impersonating a member of the real Chaos Crawlers, and had a roleplay Twitter account for the alt. Now, it would be oh so terrible if this came to light too, right? An active Twitter account pretending to be involved with a very respected roleplay company? It would, and it did. And one thing you should know is there are certain people you should never piss off when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, as you'll have a shitstorm brewing ready to rip your world asunder. It's artists, content creators, and role players. 3 people on Twitter, most importantly me. Dak's free company went completely on the defensive, looking for a free company house and denying applications to the guild, even deleting the Twitter account of her fake alt. People had come to the server from not just our other server, but from all over to call her out on her shit for spoiling a respected name. She had to apologize again and again. She, of course, quit her campaign against my guild. From my understanding, she and her free company never recovered from being lambasted as being fakers, trogs, and traitors. Of course, she tried to figure out who was behind this. Who had revealed? Who knew enough to bring it down? Who could find her alt Twitter account, for Christ's sake? But Bean and Shades were very tight-lipped about it. And I heavily believe she forgot my name, even though I bore it proudly, prepared to be damned on not just Fairy, but on Balmug too. All because I didn't want the person making my friend's cat cry to continue with their bullshit. After that, Shades, my friend, and I left the free company. Tired, it wasn't going to get any better, and wanting a change. We stuck to each other through our next guild, which was full of issues, but another story. My friend and I parted ways, and Shades started her own free company before some drama that happened caused it to break up. I left it to me, since I was uninvolved and minded my own damn business, ironically. To this day, I still keep in touch with Shades. I trust her so much. She helped me through some rough parts of my life. I'll be honest. I honestly wonder if I acted hastily. There was a lot of people in that free company, and they never recovered. Was I being too childish? What I shared would have come out later, even if I hadn't pushed it forward quickly. It was apparent that They Came was already falling apart, but I don't regret it. I only regret that I acted in anger. But I do not regret my actions, nor my desire to help my friends feel better. I always believe what lies in the dark will always come to light. Why would you pretend? Why would you go to the lengths of, like, making a fake Twitter account to pretend to be someone else? I mean, that's extreme, right? There's a point where you sat filling in the Twitter profile where you've got to think at least for a moment, maybe this is really stupid, right? There's got to be something in your brain somewhere that fires, that goes, this is really dumb. Why would I do this? Why would I do this? I don't get, like, pretending to be a different guild. Like, clearly that's not them, right? You know what I mean? Like, going to those lengths to be someone else. Like, to actually sit and register your Twitter account. The Town Hall. Let's go with the Town Hall. I mean, that's... Yeah, it's pretty desperate. It's pretty desperate. Like, catfishing, I kind of get it. Right? Like, catfishing, I kind of get it. You get some cool attention, somebody flirts with you, you get to have some dirty talk. Like, that kind of makes sense to me. Like, why I can understand why people do that, but to be, like, an artist for a game? I don't know. I don't know. Let's go to the Town Hall. We're off to World of Warcraft for a few minutes. Hello, Preacher Chat. You may remember me from my story, Oh, a Piece of Candy, a short time ago. Well, that story was lighthearted and fun, requiring no judgment. This story does require your judgment. Okay, gavels at the ready, squad. This will be the first of 4 stories I will submit for your judgment over the next several months. Chronologically, it is number 3, and it takes place during WoW's Legion expansion, around the time of the release of Tomb of Sargeras. But we will start with Warlords of Draenor. The first expansion I was able to play on launch night. 10 out of 10. Do not recommend. Yeah. Oh, that's really sad. Oh, your first expansion you could play at launch was what? Unlucky. Unlucky. For those of you who don't remember, the Warlords of Draenor launch was one of the worst Blizzard ever have. I'm not sure how many people encountered the garrison bug, but I was definitely one. I think it was everybody. I think that was universal. The quest required you to move forward in the story and build your garrison, and simply didn't exist in the game. After spending hours waiting for it to be fixed, it was. And then I went to bed, having completed a grand total of 2 quests over the course of 9 hours. I just went to bed straight away. I went to bed. The next 5 or 6 months were spent grinding all of the classes to max level and working on my garrison. Due to reasons I'll explain in another story for you, I was a solo player, and I had been since the Throne of Thunderpatch. Ultimately, the garrison grind got to be too much, and I was completely burned out on WoD. You burned out in an expansion with no content. Round of applause. You were doing it's because you were doing it on every character, isn't it? Wow. Yeah, I can see that. I couldn't even stand to think about the game anymore, much less log in. This continued through the end of WoD up until about halfway through the Nighthold. I ran into a friend of mine one day and went to lunch with him. Over this meal, he told me that he'd started playing WoW again. Again? I didn't know he'd even played before. After so long away from the game, it was great getting to catch up on what's been going on in the story, how good he claimed Legion was, and he was right. This led into him stating that he was in a good raiding guild. Oh, we need a guild name. We need a WoW guild name. They were a super chill guild, good at getting through content, and they were all grown-up adults. 3 things that to someone turned off from group content seems to be the right recipe for returning. Alright, we'll have come on a chest back. And they had a free spot for a new player. That was all it took to ignite that fire inside me. That night, I bought Legion, turned my account back on, and got to grinding. The guild needed a healer, and I'm a healer main in every game I play. Over the course of the next few days, I joined the guild Discord and started talking to the raid leader, DG, and the healing officer, Timmy. Turns out my friend was correct. These guys were super chill. But also talked about the game with a depth of knowledge that told me that they knew how to raid effectively. They really knew what things were happening. They had a good priest, a monk, and Timmy was going to roll paladin at some point. We decided that I should focus on my shaman for the totems and lust that was missing from this little group. That week, I grinded out to max level as fast as I could and started the AP grind to get my shaman caught up. I transferred the shaman to this new server and was welcomed into Come Honor Chest. They ran me through all kinds of content to get me prepared for Tomb. We were there the day it opened, and I was so excited to step into a raid for the first time in so long. The first night, we killed exactly 0 bosses in normal mode. Oh no, really? Oh dear. Oh, that's not good. Oh shit. This, of course. Yeah, you might have been taken aback, Mike, that this should have been my first red flag. Yeah. However, the next raid night came, and we killed 5. Over the next week, we cleared the entire raid on normal, and we're getting ready to move on to heroic. Oh god, the fireworks have started. This might scuff drama time, because Ben will not stop. At this point, I was still in my just got back to the game, new player hype phase. Rose-colored glasses, life is good. I'm in a raiding guild that I'm enjoying, people are cool, and everyone was an adult with grown-up jobs and adult lives and children, just like me! Life was good. Heroic progression went pretty well until we hit the Sisters of the Moon. It wasn't a major war, but it took 2 or 3 nights of full attempts of progression to get through. My rose-tinted glasses got a couple of cracks in them due to this portion of progress, but I figured I needed to focus on my own performance and not dwell on what everybody else was doing. I'm a healer. It had to be my fault the tank Jersey kept dying, right? And I can't control all the chatter in Discord. That's DG's job as the raid leader. My performance on the bosses we could clear showed notable improvements. Every time. I got a 30% pass the first week. 60% pass the next week. 75%. 83%. I was getting better. I was learning my role, guys. Yet it didn't feel good. That Paladin reroll I mentioned earlier took Timmy 3 weeks into progression to cap a character. And the first night he brought his Paladin, it was 20 item levels behind every healer. But because of World of Warcraft balancing, he was doing the same healing as we were. Bummer. Needless to say, I was really impressed and a little depressed. I just convinced myself he must be a really, really good paladin. It turns out he was. He was actually one of the main healers in a top mythic progression guild on the server. Timmy raided with our group for the lulz. The next raid night he came in 5 item levels below us and actually demolished every single healer in the raid. I had never been out-healed like that, and the fact that he was still below us in gear was annoying me. My 83% suddenly turned back to 60%. I talked to him, and he explained how healing passes work. There's only so much healing you can put out, right? You have to heal damage. So, it's really, think of it like a cake that's the same size, but it just gets divided up differently on a week-to-week basis. As we got better at the fights, less healing would be available. People would take less damage. Simple as that. People would get better. There's just less healing to do. It's fine. You're not shit. Believe me. It's not that. Well, I understood from a mathematical perspective. I was still getting shit on by an undergeared paladin. I wasn't happy about it. So I decided I would do something I swore I wouldn't do again. I started reading forums and min-maxing. I read every forum post I could find, every guide, every talent builder. I read detailed guides on every single fight, healing timing, cooldown management, talents. It had never occurred to me before to change my talents during the raid. Why do you guys say this shit to me? Like, why would that never occur to you? Toxic. Right. Okay. Okay. I tried to learn every last thing I could about the class and the fights more intensely than I'd ever had before. It was to no avail, though. How could my shaman's long-ass cast time compete with instant cast holy shocks? Healing rain isn't touching light of dawn. Riptide? I just got holy shocked before it did anything. My passes dropped. And then they just hovered around 60 and 70%. While his passes, orange. Every single fucking time. Without fail. Once Timmy's gear caught up, how much he could out-heal us became a constant frustrating comedy. Over the next few weeks that this masterclass in healing was happening to me, there were several other key events for the story starting to play out at the same time. First off, I had made some new friends. I don't know why friends is in quotations, but it's written that way. We would hang out and chat after the raid, run dungeons, PvP, dailies, and other stuff to pass the time between the raids, of course. Despite the god-level paladin that was Timmy, and all the effort I put in to get better, our tank Jersey just kept dying. He was playing a bear, and he was our tanking officer. So why the fuck was he always dead? Discussions started happening before the raid. Suggestions for improvement. But they were blown off or pushed back on for being elitist jibber-jabber. I noticed that we were getting fewer pulls in every night because there was so much banter and chatter happening in Discord that the raid leader GG was struggling to get everyone ready to actually play the game. They were using EPGP for loot. They were throwing around tidbits about becoming a mythic progression guild because we're doing so well while not pulling, and recruiting and trialing people on the same night. Lastly, my friend, the entire reason I came back to WoW, the reason I server transferred and joined this guild, decided he was bored and was quitting the game. I tried talking him out of it, but he was bored. If he wasn't having fun, why would he pay for the game? It took me years to understand this. Thank you, 9.0. That's horrible. It took me years to understand this. Thank you, 9.0. So here I am with my new internet friends, but not my real life friend, on a server where I have a single character. I didn't have my alt army to back up my shaman with professions for materials and consumables and gold, etc. But I managed to do alright, even growing to somewhat like only having to worry about one character for a while. It just so happened that my new friends, Dutcher and Manimus, liked me. They liked me enough to invite me to their private Discord server. They were, of course, in Come On a Chess Discord so much that I honestly shocked that they had another one. Even more shocked to see that in the private Discord, it was about 40% of the raid team. This is the point in the story where everything starts to go very, very quickly downhill. Those observations from earlier, there were entire channels dedicated to discussing ongoing concerns and how the raid team and the guild was being ran. I felt like I had walked into the resistance tent. Dutcher was the aforementioned priest in the group, and Manimus was the other tank, a DK. It was in these threads that I found that not only was I not alone in my observations, there was a lot of other things going on that I wasn't aware of. It turns out the tanking officer Jersey was just shit. Okay. Oh, that's why he keeps dying. He's shit. Oh, that makes a lot of sense now. Manimus had literal pages typed up on how bad he was, showing huge gaps where some fights he never pressed any mitigation and had refused, and private messages of him refusing to read any of the feedback Manimus had tried to give him. Manimus was so mad that I actually found out he was about to quit the guild. Dutcher was a really good healer. Her and I passed together, and prior to the arrival of the hero paladin, were constantly competing for top healing spot. We got along well, and despite her frustration, she tried to stay level-headed about everything and tried to keep the peace. Over the course of a few weeks, the members of this group, consisting of almost half of our raid team, started spending more time in the private Discord. It quickly became the go-to place after raid to vent about what had happened during the raid. We got through progression during this time and got our ahead-of-the-curve Kill Jaden kill. Hell, we even tried Mythic Goroth and failed so miserably they never tried again. Oh, what? I think we wiped on that. Confirm, Ross, Clog? Did we wipe the first time we tried Mythic Goroth? I can't remember. Maybe. Maybe. How does bowling work? I don't know. It's a mystery. The issues were really starting to show up and were becoming more difficult to ignore. It was decided that we needed to have a conversation, a guild meeting, to address these issues and find out how we can pull together as a team, become one. It should be noted that at this point, as far as I was aware, nobody actually was going to leave the guild. It was all talk. Shit talk. You know the type. Even Manimus admitted that his threats were basically hollow, but he just wanted Jersey to not be shit. That's all. He likes the guild. Just stop being shit. Please. For like a few hours a week. Just don't be shit. There were some conversations had with DG, Dutcher, Manimus and the officers to set up one of the raid nights. Oh, fuck no. No. Oh my god, this is gross. Absolutely not. There were some conversations had with DG, Dutcher and Manimus that they would change one of the raid nights to be Town Hall Discussion Night. I mean, I'm not going to that. You think I'm going to not spend time with my family or play a different game? Instead, I'm going to go to Town Hall Discussion Night. Sorry, wife and kids. Can't talk to you. It's Town Hall Night. Got to deal with this. They agreed. A date was set. One time, sure. Weekly, though? Pass. Those in the other Discord had spent some time gathering and compiling a dossier. There's a fucking dossier. They have a dossier. There's a dossier, people. Involving a coherent list of complaints with evidence. Now, this is where I thought I could help. I'm an analyst in real life. And figured since I was good with spreadsheets, I'll document the complaints to keep them all organized and prevent them from being repetitive. So I still have the spreadsheet. Here, eight of the more notable issues that we wanted to address out of the 17 we decided were the most important. Okay, so they've whittled it down to 17 official complaints. Our author is now going to share with us 8 of the official complaints. Number 1, Jersey. His constant deaths and overall inability to play the game at a competent level are becoming a concern. His response to these complaints during raids were, "Fuck it, I'll just quit." Number 2, the raid chatter had become out of control. We started timing how late we were doing the first pull because people wouldn't stop talking. It was averaging out to be 45 minutes of delay each night. It had gotten so bad during the raid that DG had started logging off rather than to get people under control until they naturally stopped. Number 3. DG refused to allow anyone else to do callouts. This meant that healing CDs, tank CDs, mechanics movements were all being called by one person who was trying to DPS and do mechanics at the same time. Understandably, he was missing a lot of callouts and it was creating problems while also stressing him out to the point that it was becoming noticeable. Imagine having other people in the raid help you out. Wow. Number 4. Oh, God. What's the worst phrase you can ever hear during discussion about people being shit? Come on, we've all raided here before. Everybody here has raided before. What is the worst phrase you hear when people are being shit? Not your own name, no. It's hard to describe it, but it's the most passive-aggressive way of talking about somebody. Just focus up. No. Yeah, it's hard to describe. I think it's this. Honestly, when I hear this, I lose my fucking mind. Certain people. Grow up! Okay? Stop saying certain people. For the love of God. Mike, it's not that hard. Certain people. Grow the fuck up, okay? We're playing a game with fucking fantasy gnomes and lalafels and frigging you're riding around on a bear. You can accept it's your name. Certain people had received constructive feedback on their performance during the raid. I say constructive because it really was a very gentle approach. Dutcha was actually quite talented in this area and would try to address issues as gentle as she could. This would be something that Dutcha would say to you if you were a fucking clown at the game. Hey, just so you know, when the meteor comes, it does a lot of damage, so we group up on square. It really helps us out. Can you focus on getting to the square when we say meteor's coming? There was nothing fake in her voice. She came across as someone who genuinely cared and wanted to help them out. Alas, these suggestions were met with people literally breaking down and crying for being toxic. On occasion, they had logged out for the rest of the night because of the so-called elitism, and cussing people out and rage quitting for the night, or just generally just not doing it. Oh my God. Certain people. Number 5. EPGP is just wank. Yes. It wasn't even being maintained and had no decay, so people just had shitloads of points. I won't even get into all the issues with this system, but it's just shit. Yes, agreed. Agreed. Number 6. People were being... Oh God, certain people were being told to step up their performance or they'd have to be benched. But we weren't benching anybody, ever. The whole team knew that the idea of being benched was bullshit. I mean, how can you bench people when you're trying to recruit people because we don't have enough people? Big brain. Big brain. 7. Oh my God. Certain people. Again. Certain people on the raid team are spending hours grinding materials for raid supplies for the guild, only to not be allowed to use those raid supplies Because the raid leader decided the boss wasn't hard enough. Oh, fucking shoot yourself. Are you fucking real? 1, who's farming? Just be a millionaire. 2, make your own if they're having some weird restriction on using food and flasks. 3, who the fuck isn't using food and flasks even on farm? 4, quit this fucking guild immediately before I come and shoot you all. Because you're all clearly in misery. I'll help. I'm on my way. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. Who's not pumping on farm? We're blasting, dude. We're blasting on farm. 8. Timmy, our Chuck Norris of Paladins, has become a streamer. Overall, he was a really good dude. He didn't get caught up in any of the drama. He focused on coming in and having a good time the best he could. Unfortunately, he was trying to run a family-friendly WoW stream while streaming a frustrated, heroic progression group of adults who spent their entire days remaining composed for their jobs and kids so they could get on WoW and say whatever the fuck they wanted. To that extent, he was using his position in the guild to implement new Discord rules that prohibited any type of profanity, crude jokes, or suggestive conversations. Well, there it is. Again, I just want to point out to the viewers, this is to you guys, he's a really good dude. This is the only complaint I've ever had about him. I just want to point it out that he was deciding this for the rest of us because he'd installed OBS. So where was I during all this? Honestly, at first I had no idea there was festering issues going on for as long as they were. Those that I did see, I tried to ignore, still focusing on being happy to be back playing the game. I've dealt with plenty of guild drama over the years and really didn't want to get tied up in it. I was a solo player for years because of stuff like this. Unfortunately, as an analyst, I do have a desire to fix things or make them more efficient. So over time, I got drawn in. I kept my comments to myself during raids, only sending the occasional WTF in the pink to Dutcher or Manimus. Even after the other Discord became the place to vent after raid, I tried not to engage in it too much. But obviously, over time, I threw my lot in with those who were unsatisfied with the current state of things and vented just as much as everybody else. Toxicity breeds toxicity. Despite my frustrations, I was committed to finding an agreeable path forward for everybody, for the whole team. To think such a thing possible can only be attributed to ignorance, arrogance, or some combination of the two. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The date has arrived. It's Town Hall night. Our list has been prepared, notarized, laminated, printed on quality A4 paper. We have discussed how we wanted to address each situation in a way that would not be too abrasive, be received, but forceful enough to know that this is not a joke and take us seriously. We wanted it to be understood that we were there for the betterment of the guild. We complain because we love. We had complaints, but most importantly, we had solutions to go along with them. The biggest fear going into the discussion was that it was going to devolve into a shouting match, insults being thrown, and that would be the end of the guild. It should be mentioned at this point that nobody on either side had discussed how we were going to go about raising conversation points. You didn't rehearse? You had a dossier and didn't rehearse. Unbelievable. Despite my involvement with organising the complaints and solutions and working to make sure our approach was correct and non-aggressive, I was not the orchestrator of this situation. This was going on for a long, long time before I got there and reached this boiling point shortly after my arrival. I had intended to stay relatively quiet during the discussion, as I only had 2 points I wanted to make. I wanted to make sure that the people who were there on the optional raid night were recognised for their dedication. And so it wasn't anything intended to make one side look better or worse than the other. And it played into my second point, which was using the group as a base to forming a solid mythic progression team. This would help us all out. Unfortunately, there was a slight oversight on our end when setting everything up for Town Hall. That little hiccup ended up placing me smack dab in the middle of everything. And to the whole of the guild, made me the face of what was to come. As I said, we never talked about how we are going to actually raise our issues. Who would be the voice? In the absence of this information, we decided to go alphabetically by username in Discord. Which put me in the number 2 spot. Great. The first person wasn't even in our private Discord. And generally was a pretty shit player. They said they had 0 issues with our raid team. Smile. Everything's fine. It's all good. Oh, I like this girl. It's good. They thought everything was sunshine and rainbows. Of course. While he was giving his optimistic look on our future, oblivious of what was to come, I was whispering Dutcher and Manimus. Dude, I don't want to go through all of this myself. Which one shall I cover? Like, give me a number. Shall I do number 2, number 3? The reply I got wasn't the one I wanted. You got this, dude. Go for it. We'll all back you up. Really? But this is like your list, though. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I should expand on 2 points I've touched on briefly here. The first is that I'm an analyst. I spent 7 years in the military as an intelligence analyst and did 3 combat tours overseas as an analyst overseas. So you have been to Yemen? As an analyst overseas, I had to give daily intel briefings to the crews that were going out. I was in an aviation unit, so I was briefing helicopter pilots. Pilots in the military are officers and warrant officers. I was enlisted, meaning that the entirety of my career was spent telling people who outrank me things that they could either A, save their life, or B, piss them off. I was doing 10 to 15 of these briefings a day. Over the course of 3 tours, that's over 10,000 briefings. I'm good at telling people things they don't want to hear in a way that makes them okay with hearing it. I'm good at verbally shining shit, is what I guess I'm saying here. At this point in my life, I had moved on to the corporate world and was working with an IT company selling contract services to healthcare companies. I was spending my days in endless meetings, once again speaking to a whole lot of people who A, outranked me, B, don't like what I have to say, and C, needed to like what I had to say. It was in this moment that I realized that maybe I was the best person to deliver these concerns. It's World of Warcraft! It's not as serious as the things I've done in the past. On a side note, I no longer work in those fields. It fucking sucks. Okay. DG calls my name, alphabetically of course, for my input. Calm. Reserved. With plenty of caveats and clarifications. I dive into our 17-point discussion program and spend the next 25 minutes talking. I ease them in. I start with the less important topics first, thinking that a couple of softballs should be easier to get some traction and help to transition them into the rest of the more important points. Building the guild out, not recruiting on raid nights, but on other nights of the week, using our raid supplies, things like that. It was all very well received, and it seemed that we were able to come to easy agreements on each topic. Then it was time to, of course, move on to maybe the more contentious categories, you know, the ones that might ruffle some feathers a little bit. But people need to be able to take feedback and constructive criticism without rage quitting. People need to do research. People need to come prepared to actually play. People do need to get benched if they don't do that stuff properly. We need to just chill the talking in Discord. This is where Dutcher and Manimus began to chime in more and took us to about an hour and a half into the discussion. Still, things seems to be well received. All good. Each side was making compromises, coming to agreements on how we could move forward. It seemed productive. So much so that it seemed that calling out individual people at this point would only sour the conversation and lead to a bad ending. I decide then that the last point I'm going to address is the loot system. And surprisingly, everyone agreed it needed to go. And we could have a discussion later on how we'll handle loot going forward. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I decided to quit while I'm ahead. We've made good progress, and I felt like it was a great conversation, and everyone was going to take a few steps forward and come together as a team. We really were going to be a better guild if we could deal with our problems like this. Maybe this is the kind of organization and the kind of trust and the kind of bond we need to become a mythic raiding guild. Enter Manimus then. The DK. The off-tank. He's a bit younger than most of us, and one of the only people in the guild that wasn't married or had children. He had not yet been crushed by the reality of life. He hadn't learned the value of compromise or taking small wins to reach a larger goal. He had come to discuss everything that was on that list, and that is exactly what he's gonna fucking do. In our previous conversations about Jersey, it had generally been decided that we wanted him to step down from an officer position. We wanted to work with him to improve his gameplay, or have him benched if he refused to take part. We wanted to, at minimum though, he could not continue to be an officer playing like he is and threatening to quit every time he was questioned. And so, Manimus said this. I wish to talk about Jersey. I want him gone. Not demoted or on the bench, out of the fucking guild. Jersey is toxic, whiny piece of shit, and everybody here would be better off if he wasn't here. Imagine the awkward silence. In hindsight, I should have just left my mic muted. Let them sort it out. Let it all fall however it fell. But I was still riding high in the success we'd achieved tonight. And thinking maybe I can salvage this blunt, short-sighted note. So I chime in. What I think Manimus is trying to say is that there are some serious concerns with performance and handling feedback that needs to be addressed. To which Jersey replied, no, he said what he meant. Fuck him, fuck you, I'm out. And with that, Jersey dropped from the Discord, quit the guild, and now we were missing a tank. Which is still a win, by the way. It really is. Manimus, alright. Next point. And DG, you need to fucking step up and be a leader. Stop being pushed around by all these stupid-ass people in this shit guild. People that can't even be bothered to study the fights on their own damn classes. Coming here every week, wasting my time, your time, everyone else's time on their bullshit. You need to sort it out, and now! This tirade continued for a short time until people started pushing back and arguing with him. What did he mean by this guild? Which players? Why is everybody getting off? People started leaving the Discord and G-quitting en masse. Then Manimus signed off with the class if, you guys aren't even ready to listen to all our points. I tell you what, screw you all. Go fuck yourselves. I'm out. And he G-quit as well. I sat there stunned. I'd been here now for 2 hours. We had made progress. And now the guild was dead. I didn't know what to say anymore. Until little Billy, who had come to this meeting thinking the guild was all sunshine and rainbows, made the saddest comment that I heard that entire night. Is the meeting over? There was no reply. So I quietly just logged off of Discord. It turns out they'd assumed the conversation was a waste of time and had already started his own guild. It turns out Manimus had already assumed the conversation was a waste of time and had already started his own guild the day prior with an alt and just wanted to shout at everybody. Many of the people dropping the guild were already on their way to his new guild. They had already agreed to it before even starting the town hall meeting. They were just waiting for the signal to jump ship. What I had thought had been a good investment of time, a productive conversation, was just a complete fabrication to me. There were other chats going on at the time that I had not been aware of, that DG's willingness to compromise or even give in on certain topics were just further proof that he was a shitty leader. I genuinely mean this, Mike. The fact that DG was willing to implement the changes we proposed made him look weak in their eyes. Instead, I was told they wanted to follow a strong leader who wouldn't take no shit, like Manimus. Right, yeah. Manimus then whispered me and told me to, oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, drop guild so I can send you an invite. I declined. I'd been a part of an exodus like this before, and I didn't want to be on that side of it this time. I wanted to make this guild better. And I couldn't do that by leaving. Oh, you're not staying in the... Oh, my God. You're making me cry. You're making me cry. Honestly, my memory of what happened the rest of the night is a blur. I remember logging off feeling defeated. What had seemed to be a great step forward had exploded in just a matter of minutes. DG was a different person after that night, especially towards me. I reached out to him a few days later through whispers in-game and apologized for how it went down. You're fine, he said. I told him that was not how I wanted things to go, and I thought that we had made real progress up to the point where Manimus said is. He didn't seem to care. He said, shit happens. I'm going to log off for a bit and I'll talk to you later. A few days later, I reached out again. Hey man, how are you? I'm fine. Just checking my mail, then logging in. This continued for a few weeks. I would reach out. He would either ignore me entirely or give me a short answer and log off. I reached out to the other people still in the guild to see what they were up to. Over a few weeks, it became obvious that DG blamed me for my part in the whole ordeal. He was definitely more pissed off at Manimus, but blamed me mostly for starting the whole meeting. I tried to stay and to patch things up for weeks. We started pugging more people, but recruiting less. Numbers dwindled, and Taurus was coming. It wasn't clear if we'd have enough people to even go into the raid. Eventually, it was announced that the raid team was taking a break. I decided to take a break as well. Not just from raiding, just from WoW. I never left the guild, I just logged off and didn't log in again until BFA launched. And upon BFA launch, I switched to the Alliance and moved to a fresh server. I haven't played my Horde characters since then, except to level them to max as I always do. And then not to touch them until the next expansion. I used the BFA boost on a warrior and got him to max. It took about 2 weeks to go through the story as I was taking my time with it. Once I got capped though, it was my time to find a new guild. The thought of it brought back all the memories of this event, and rather than try a new team, I just quit the game before even trying to look for one. Oh, this time for an entire year. Time to join a guild. Wait a minute. No. I'm going to quit the game instead. I'm going to leave it there. That's so sad that that was your response. I'm just going to quit the game instead. Oh, no. You guys have done that? Oh, that's so sad. Really? All right, I'm ready to play. I'm going to join a guild and... Oh, no. I'm just uninstalling. No, not doing it. In hindsight, I enjoyed my time with the guild. DG was a good guy and tried his hardest to be nice to everyone. I think ultimately he got overwhelmed with trying to handle everything by himself. His status on Battle.net shows he hasn't been online for 2 years. Timmy continued to stream and progress Mythic. I also can't put into words how much he taught me about healing at a high level, although I could never catch him on the meters. I find myself now doing to other healers what he did to me in that undergeared character. Overperforming Paladin so long ago. Dutch just switched servers and rolled to Alliance as well. We don't speak anymore, but she's still one of the coolest people I've gotten to spend time with in WoW. Manimus honestly seemed like a cool person, although a little hot-headed. I've never spoken to him again. I have no idea what became of his new guild. And at this point, I don't care. Same goes for Jersey. Never playing with that idiot again. Thank you for my story, Preacher. I'm obviously guilty to an extent for my involvement, but I often wonder how much of it was my fault. How much could I have really done to steer things in another direction? So I leave it up to the jury. What should I have done differently? Nothing. You did fine. You did totally fine. You were okay. You weren't really involved in any way. I mean, you did the talking, but you weren't the one that... WoW is guilty. Oh, no, don't say that. The guild was done. It was the end of days. It was collapsing and falling apart. The lights outside my window indicate my family has returned, and that brings us to the end of drama for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with me, and please just leave the guilds. You don't need to start making spreadsheets of complaints. You don't need a 17-point action program. Preachcon will be August 3rd and 4th, my friends. Preachcon 2022 is announced. It's going to be happening. We'll have more details for you in January. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. There will not be anything until January. I'm too busy to even contemplate what to do until January. So it will be in January. All right. I may see you tomorrow. Maybe not. I have a lot of stuff to do. And my throat is pretty destroyed. We've streamed a lot in the last few weeks. So we'll see what's happening then. Other than that, be good. Let's throw a raid to somebody. I'm taking your suggestions. I would love to. Let's throw a big hey to somebody. Let me have a look. Let's throw it to Quinn. He's got a lot of viewers, but he had a baby yesterday. So if you guys can just say congratulations to Mr. Quinn, I think that would be wonderful. Even if you're on your way out, give him a big grats. That would be really nice. Yeah, I believe he had a son yesterday. I think it was a son. So throw it over there. Give him all our love. And I will see you soon. All right? I will see you very soon. Bye, guys.